just so we
Okay.
know. So that's all squared away.
Great. Hello, hello. Thanks, everybody. We've got people coming in. Nice to see some of you on camera. Nice to see some of your names. So we have everybody coming in muted so that we don't overwhelm ourselves with background noise and echo, but thank you for coming in, and I can see you all joining and connecting to audio. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm seeing a couple head nods, so I think that means you can. Great. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Renee. So it looks like we already have a hand up. Do you have a question before we start? Okay. Renee, could you please allow this person to ask their question, and then we'll get started.
Hi, thank you, Katie. Tony Vignati, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Hi, Tony.
So we didn't know if we were going to have a meeting tonight, if we had to have a quorum at this. So I just want to find out if we do. If we do, we have to call a selectmen's meeting. If we don't, then we don't. So I'm just waiting to hear. I know that two people are not. If anyone from the board is at the meeting, can you please raise your hand so I can find out if there's 3 here and we need to have a selectmen meeting in progress? Seth, do you see anybody? Okay, great. Then we do not.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate you making sure we're following all the guidelines and the rules. So thank you for that. I think it is now 4 o'clock on the West Coast. Okay, can you hear me again? Great. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. I do want to be respectful of your time. So thank you for being here. We'll pull up a presentation and we'll get started here with our evening tonight. So, of course, you are here for the water treatment plant project listening session. We appreciate you being here tonight, and we will get into our agenda. So first of all, my name is Katie Evans. I am with Woodard & Kern. We're part of your engineering team. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge our town staff and officials who are here, and any select board members who are here. I think we only have one, but thank you for being here. And we're all here to listen. So for those of you who are not town officials or not part of the engineering team, we really, really appreciate you being here because we are here to listen to you. I'm really grateful to have a turnout tonight to be able to have some actual conversation and dialogue about this project. And I just want you to know that we feel it's really important for us to be able to work with the town residents to address any issues or concerns that you have. And we're grateful for your time being here today. So I'll run through our agenda. I'm going to go through some opening remarks and a welcome. It's primarily just to make sure everybody's up to date on the project. I'll talk through our purpose, and then I'm also going to talk about next steps right away because I do want you to know what today will lead to. We'll talk about some of the other concerns or some of the previously presented concerns that we've heard from the community, and we're going to have some interactive input through polling for that. I'll take you through it. It's easy to do, and if you're not able to do it, it's okay. And then we're going to have open comment. So during open comment, we'll allow everyone who wants to do so to speak. We're going to have this +1 option if you want to agree with a comment, which I'll describe when we get to that point of the agenda. But I do want to say right now, we are going to limit everybody to 3 minutes. And that's because we want to give everyone an opportunity to speak. We don't want anyone to not be able to share their feedback. So as we're talking or as you're getting prepared to speak today, please do try to have that in mind, that we're going to try to keep you at 3 minutes. And then we'll finish up with how to stay informed on this project after that. So again, this is a welcome. We're really glad to have you here, and let's just take some time to get up to date on what's happening with the water treatment plant. So as I'm sure all of you know, because you're here and concerned about this issue, a new treatment plant is a priority for the town. The town's current water treatment plant is not in state compliance. It does not have backup systems, which means that if it goes down, the town won't have sufficient water for residents. And what we're talking about here is not creating a new plant so you have tons more water, or you should or could use more water, but it's ensuring that there's a sufficient high quality water supply for the demand of the town now and into the future. The existing plant doesn't meet those needs. It doesn't meet your present and future needs because it's not capable of removing the iron and manganese to publicly acceptable levels. This is your brown water issue that you have in the town system. And the current plant can't be retrofitted to handle the filters that would be necessary to remove those elevated levels of manganese that contribute to the town's brown water. The construction of this plant was identified in the town's water system master plan as the recommendation to address these water quality issues. And according to that plan, the new plant would be more reliable and easier to operate, which would result then in a higher level of service to the community and also more safety for operators. So from the background of the plan itself, I think, via the master plan and via some of the work that you've done at the town, it's pretty clear that a new treatment plant is necessary, or that there is some support for it, which again, we can talk about. So that you know where we are now, the town just recently approved $50 million in funding to design and construct the new water treatment facility. I'm sorry, next slide. The $50 million will include the design, permitting, and construction of the new facility, rehabilitation of the raw water pump station, and demolition of the existing water treatment plant. And just to be clear, if the scope of costs are reduced and this plan doesn't cost $50,000 or $50 million, the town won't spend $50 million. If conversely, the project exceeds 50 million, then the town will have to request an additional funding allocation. So just to be clear, there is that stipulation here as we move forward in what our next steps would be. The location of the plant is still being determined. However, the Stearns Meadow site is proposed for consideration. The town is right now continuing to conduct some site-specific research on that site and other sites that have been brought up to us. So we're really doing our research on what is out there. And all of that information is going to be made available to the public for your review. We intend to post this stuff online and make it accessible so that if you want to look at it, you'll be able to. And I do want to say that cost is a pretty important component in that consideration. It's something that definitely the team is looking at. So while the overall project funding is approved, the town hasn't spent any money yet developing a detailed site plan for refinement because the site has not been officially selected. So that hasn't happened yet. That's something that'll happen after the site is officially determined. The site selected will be required, of course, to go through all the local permitting and state permitting. Detailed design drawings will be required. So there'll be an extensive vetting process once a site is approved or selected, in addition to just being selected by the town. Okay, so let's talk about why we're here today. What's the purpose of our meeting today? We are here to listen. I said that in the beginning, and I want to be clear about what we're doing and not doing. We've been able to receive a lot of input from the community recently, and we are extremely grateful for that. This is another opportunity for us to solicit your input. We need to know what's acceptable to you. What are your primary concerns? What issues do we need to look into so that we can go back and provide you the information that you need, or go back and do some additional research on potential solutions or ideas. So we're not here to educate or inform or convince you or debate or have any kind of conversation along those lines. We're really simply here to solicit your feedback and to listen to what you have to say. We do want to acknowledge that we're really grateful for the input that we've received so far. I know we've got input from the town meeting, from the project meetings. We had our survey that we solicited. We've also posted the survey online that a lot of people have taken. People have sent letters, and all of that information is really helpful to us. And we're using it to conduct research to provide you answers to your questions and make sure that we're addressing your concerns and needs. We're already working on that, but this is another opportunity for us to hear from you what you need to know and what you need us to look at and research. So again, we're here to listen. We're not going to interrupt you during your comments. We're not going to answer questions or again, get into a back and forth. We're really using this opportunity to listen to you and hear what you have to say so that we can take that input back and address it in our project work. So I'm going to talk about our next steps, even though we're just getting started with this meeting, because I want you to understand what our process is going to be. So as I mentioned, today we're listening, and we're going to take all that information you give us to prepare some information to give back to you. We're interested in hearing your suggestions, your ideas, and your concerns, and then we're going to produce graphics or renderings or reports or whatever we need to be able to address those concerns, answer questions, or conduct additional research on your ideas. We will release all of that publicly. We're looking forward to it. And we're also planning to have another meeting. So right now it's tentatively planned for July 13th at 7 p.m. It would be virtual. I think we're pretty solid on that date and time, but I just put tentative on there to be sure in case we're still locking in a few things. But we want to come back at that meeting and be able to answer at least some of the questions that we've heard and start to get deeper into these issues. In addition to that, we're going to ask you to sign up for our emails. We're going to put a Google form in the chat. You can fill it out and you can give us your email address that way, or you can just go to the town website and subscribe to emails there too. So as information becomes available, we'll be sending that out that you can get updated on. And of course, our meeting information will go out that way too. So really encourage you to sign up for those emails. Okay, so our next thing is going to be some interactive input. And I just want to say, we've heard some concerns. And so I wanted to try and give you an opportunity to weigh in on some of what we've already heard through some polling. And I do want to say, if you can't participate in this poll, don't stress about that. I know some people are traveling and some people are on audio only and they're just not able to do it. So don't worry if you can't. But if you can, we'd love your participation. We also know you can't cover everything in a poll or a survey. That's why we're doing lots of open comment and surveys and all these different ways of trying to get input. But this will give us a little bit of a sense of, how people are responding to some of what we've heard before. So what I'm going to ask you to do is open up a web browser. Any web browser will do. If you use Chrome or Internet Explorer or Safari, anything that you do, and just type in menti.com. You can also do this on your phone. It works just fine if you open up a browser on your phone. So if everybody could just try to get to menti.com, I'll give you a second. And then you should get a little screen that looks like this that's asking you for a code. So again, that's menti.com. And then you should get a screen asking you for a code, and this is the code. It is 7354-7859. So if you can jump in with that code. Again, I'll say it out loud, 7354-7859. And then when you log in, you should see a screen that looks like this. So hopefully everyone is there. Okay, great. Looks like we've got some people joining, so that is wonderful. Okay, so I'm gonna share this screen now, and you should be able to see what I'm seeing. Hopefully people are signing in. Yeah, I'm getting some hearts. That means people are in. If you want to hit that little heart button, and it'll help me know you're there. Great, thank you. Lots of good heart buttons. Okay. So first of all, I just want to make sure that this works. So bear with me and give me a little patience here. I'm going to ask you a very silly question, but I just want to make sure we all understand how this works. So first question, you should be able to vote on this. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? And as you vote, there we go, great. You will see the results are coming in. So if you look at my screen here on the Zoom, you will see that people are voting and we are getting their answers. So in real time, that's what people are saying. A lot of chocolate fans, a lot of other fans. Oh, chocolate takes the lead. I'm a peanut butter fan myself. Oh, okay. Lots of good ones. Okay, great. So it looks like this is working. And so that's great. So we will move into the actual survey now. So the first question, we're just trying to get a little sense of how you heard about this. We want to make sure we can get in touch with you in the future so we can tell you about more meetings like this. So how did you hear about this meeting? Let us know and we'll be sure to make best use of some of the communications that are out there. Okay. Great. Okay. Okay, that's really helpful. Lots of others. So maybe we'll jump into that a little bit here later on. But glad to see that the door hanger and the direct mail got to some of you. Word of mouth is almost always the winner. So not surprised to see a lot of people heard that way. Okay, and then we'd like to know where you live. Just if we're trying to figure out who we're talking to and what area. So if you could give us, let us know what street you're on. If you're not on one of these, just say other, that's fine too. Again, just getting a sense of who we have in the room today. Okay, great. Okay, great. That's very helpful. So the next one's going to be a little bit different. Oh no, I'm sorry. This one is still another opinion poll. What's your current opinion of the new water treatment plant? And we have a variety of offers here. Fully support, support with concerns, oppose with concerns, or fully oppose. Okay, great. That looks like about everybody. Okay, very good. That's what I expected. Okay, and so this is the one that's a little bit different. So in this one, we're asking you to rank your concerns. We have cost, location, green space preservation, and other, and we will have a chance to go into more detail on each of these, but if you could drag and drop these so that you get them in the order that you are concerned about them, with the first one being the thing you're most concerned about, fourth one being the one that you're least concerned about, go ahead and start ranking these. Oh, someone has figured out how to draw on the presentation. Okay. Keep going. Looks like we still have a couple coming in, so I'll wait another minute. Okay, great. Seems like, yeah, pretty even there for location and green space. I think those are often perhaps tied together, and I think we can talk about more on that during open discussion. Okay, and then now we're going to ask you, and before you type anything, let me just say, once you push submit, it's going to take your answer. So if you want to put a couple of phrases in, make sure you type them all before you push submit. But in your own words or a phrase, please tell us why you're concerned about location, specifically location. And I realize you don't have room to type your whole thought, but we will have open discussion. This is just to get a little bit of a community understanding. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this chat. No, the consultants aren't intending to be commenting. We're listening. We're here for residents. And then state the results. Yes, I will state the results. I'm sorry about that. Okay. For those who can't see the screen, I'll be sure to state the results. So this is giving us a word cloud. So when people type in something more than once, it gets bigger. But this is how that's working. So some of the things that we're seeing here, we see not concerned. We're also see concerns about property value, real estate value. We're concerned if it's the best place, water supply proximity, destruction of habitat. We have climate change, effects on abutters. I'm not going to be able to read all of these, but trucks, it shifted on me again. The size of the plant, the location of the administration and garage, I'm thinking facilities because you probably got cut off on words there. Privacy. Yeah, so news reporter, I'm not, maybe someone can elaborate on that during our conversation. Light noise pollution. This is great. This is really helpful. We'll be able to capture all of this and review it as a team later on. I think looks like everyone has answered that one. Oh, not quite. Okay. Destruction of habitat, green space, sight lines. Again, property values and disruptions to the area. Okay. Okay, I think everyone has answered that. So those are some of the comments that were on there. So thank you for that. It is going to limit you in the amount of space. And of course, we will have the opportunity to say more during the open discussion. Okay, so the next question is the same one, but it's about cost. In your own words or a phrase, please tell us why you're concerned about cost. Okay, not so much concerned about cost, tax increases. Yeah, this one did come out lower on the ranking, so that makes sense. Minimal cost concerns. I think this is market, taxes, tax increases. Just the facts. Okay, consultant fees. Municipal exempt. Minimal cost concerns. Okay. Okay. So yeah, some of these, I think it would be great to have some additional detail on when we get to our open discussion, and I'm sure that we will. We've got some other things in here. That first draw was greedy, so hopefully whoever typed that can give us some additional information. High cost compared to others, overkill. So, okay, these are great. This is great feedback to have. Again, if you have some thoughts on this that you want to share during open discussion, we'd be happy to hear those. Okay. Looks like everyone answered that one. So the next one, same question, but on green space preservation. So in your own words or a phrase, please tell us why you're concerned about green space preservation. Climate change, the environment's important. Unnecessary foliage, probably removal, I think is what you wanted to type there and it cut you off. Balance need. Someone is not enjoying our poll. Animals don't have somewhere to go. Okay, green space, the green belt impact, the green belt's important. Animals in our yard, not usable for all. The need for preservation, a green buffer. Let's see. Sound pollution, creature impact. Great. Okay. And we've got news story. That's the second time I've seen that. So I'm interested in hearing more about that. Okay. Lack of green in town, light pollution, losing the green feel. Okay. Too much construction. Okay, it looks like we have all our responses for that one. Oh, we're getting more responses. Some, I think some other people must have joined the poll, which is great. Self-explained. Okay, so let's move to the next question. This one, we're looking for those others. So we asked if you had concerns that were outside of location, green space, or cost. So if you want to throw a word or two or a phrase in of what other concerns you have, this would be the time to do that. Okay, so some of the things, we've got some comments on the process here and attendees, but traffic accidents, people are concerned about it not being built. I'm interested in it being built at OOB, location and cost, roadway safety, lack of transparency, the Little League fields, the filtration of waste into groundwater. I gotta make my thing smaller here. Project transparency, not enough information being made public, location and design, unnecessary amenities that are not essential to plant operation, didn't adequately consider other options, such as having the admin or garage building elsewhere, need to recognize the NIMBY issue, storage not associated with water treatment, and this is not new information. Odor, the scope was presented as presented early was too big, traffic and water flow, you don't care about the environment. NIMBY, will there be light traffic? Okay, that's great. Mistrust in government, and the problems outweigh the benefit. Okay, I'm gonna give it just a minute because I don't have as many responses as we have people. Some people may not want to answer, but noise pollution, light, security, traffic mitigation, turning on to 3A might be too difficult. Okay, too big, not NIMBY. Okay. Pollution of existing reservoirs. Town facilities too deluxe. New plant doesn't mean no brown water. The salt truck storage, okay. Okay. A solution looking for a problem. Okay. So, okay. Water in a butter's yards, water flow into the reservoir. The scope is too big. The scope is too large. Storage, years of disruption. Okay. Looks like I have another comment here. Privacy of a butter, and the town needs to improve communication. Okay, and vetting of the existing site. Okay, I think that is everybody. And of course, you can always tell us more later. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen share and we'll go back to the presentation. Thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that. It was nice to get a sense of opinion. I do want to say there were a couple comments made that there's no new information here. And I do want to be clear that that's not the intent of this meeting today. The intent of the meeting is a listening session. So we're really here to solicit your feedback and input. And we're really looking forward to hearing from you. We are looking forward to providing you some additional information in the coming meetings and online and in our website. So hopefully you can subscribe to those emails and attend our July meeting and continue to engage with us on this process, because the intention here tonight is really about listening, and additional future meetings will be include additional new information. So hopefully that clarifies that. Okay, looks like we have another question here. If you don't know about the plans, what to ask. So again, we're here to hear your concerns. If you don't feel like you know enough about it to voice your concerns, please let me know, and I'm happy to, we'll provide some contact information at the end. I'm happy to talk you through the status a little more detailed than what we talked about in the beginning of this meeting. So at this time, we are going to move into open comment. I want to be clear that because we're interactive here, I can't see head nodding, which is why I'm going to implement this +1 thing. Normally, if we're in a room together, someone says something, other people might clap, or they might nod their head, or they might indicate in some way that they really appreciate or agree with that statement. So the way we're going to handle that today is just go into the chat and type +1. So if someone says something and it is just right in line with how you're feeling, please do that. That helps indicate to us that that's an important point that we want to, we're hearing from many. As a reminder, as I just said, we're not going to be answering questions or responding. We're taking very detailed notes so that we can understand what your concerns are today and address them in our future meetings and our future public outreach, including our website and our emails. So we'll begin with raising your hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our best here to call on you in order. Zoom should keep us in order. So hopefully it will work. We apologize if somebody gets ahead of you in line, but we are going to try our best to keep you in order. And we are asking that you limit yourself to 3 minutes. If you have more to say later, if you couldn't get it all in 3 minutes, or tomorrow you think, oh, I wish I would have said this thing or that thing, feel free to send an email. We're happy to hear additional information later. I know some people have sent in letters and additional comments. So anything like that, feel free to send in. And again, if you can't get it all in your couple of minutes, then please do feel free to send us more detailed information. Okay, so at this time, we will move into open comment.
Great. So it looks like the first person to raise their hand was Michael Gibson. So I will ask you to unmute now, Michael.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First and foremost, Tony, I just want to thank you for being here from the select board. I wish we'd seen more members of the select board and they were, taking this a little more seriously, but I appreciate you being here tonight. I'd also like to thank you for noting during Thursday's select board meeting the frustration that this community feels over the lack of progress with this project. And frankly, I largely agree with you that this meeting and any subsequent meetings for that matter are going to be a complete waste of time until Stephen Rafferty, and sorry, Stephen, you're the owner's project manager, so my comments will be directed at you, but Woodard and Kern, please write them down as well, until some more work's been done on this project. During at least 2 public meetings, the residents of Scituate have already raised concerns over the current proposed water treatment plant design, none of which you've addressed here. And I'd encourage the various consultants involved in this process to go back and view the community meeting held on April 7th and annual town meeting held on April 11th, both of which are easily available as they're recorded by our friends at Scituate Community Television. Now, Stephen, I understand your comment during Thursday's select board meeting that you cannot, or rather will not, update the water treatment design until you know the water treatment process that must be used, which has not been completed yet. However, that has absolutely no bearing on updating the proof of concept. And I'll provide you with a couple examples. So first and foremost, the truck garage at the proposed site. I'm not sure at all what possibly a truck garage has to do with water treatment. And I'm curious why you haven't considered moving that to the current DPW garage or even using the current land at the old Oka Bucket facility. Second, an administration building, and here perhaps a bit of education is necessary. I don't know if all the consultants are familiar with how usage and billing works in Scituate, but it actually has nothing to do with the water treatment plant. It's based off of meters that are attached to resident homes. They're read by the water department, and then they're billed out of an administration building. Third, a septic system. If there's no administration building or no garage on the site, you don't need a septic system. You can't have a bathroom in a water treatment plant. And that saves both space and alleviates an environmental concern. So as you can see from this, certainly there are things that absolutely can be addressed now. It just involves work. So Stephen and team, you've also made comments that you can't update the design until a site is locked down. Well, an overwhelming majority of this town had extreme concerns with your presentation and design at annual town meeting, which is why site approval is now within the purview of residents. It has to be passed by us. So therefore, perhaps it's time to do some hard work, because failure to do so may result in an unfavorable vote at special town meeting in September. I'd also like to raise a somewhat new issue, safety. And this was first addressed by my neighbor, Maria McCallion, during the April 7th meeting. So I encourage you to go back and listen to her comments, but I do have some additional context. This past Thursday, just 5 days ago, as I left the Old Forge neighborhood, I was immediately confronted by an older gentleman and a Scituate resident who had hit a deer. Luckily, the injuries to all were minor, but it still necessitated involvement by the Scituate police and fire departments. Now, I understand, Katie, apparently you're on the West Coast, so some of you all may not be from the area, but 3A is a very dangerous road. And Tony and other town officials, as you'll know, we have severe issues at Man Lot and Booth Hill intersections. Well, through this project, you'll be destroying a forest where deer who would otherwise reside there will now be forced onto 3A, causing many more accidents, potentially worse than this, even deadly. So on top of that, I'd like to know what the downstream budget implications are. How much will the public safety budgets be increased because of this reckless decision to expand on 3A? Now, the current water treatment plant is located in a slow zone of 3A. The site across from, or the zone, excuse me, across from Stern Meadows is a 50-mile-an-hour zone. And it also includes passing. You can pass in this zone. Yet, we're going to build and add more traffic here. So finally, I'd like to remind the select board, and Tony, perhaps you can share my thoughts with the rest of the board later, that Tighe and Bond and all these other hired consultants work for us. They work for the residents of this town. More should be demanded from them. Absolutely nothing has been done since annual town meeting. And that was 2.5 months ago, except now we're looking for a new rubber stamp approval on the same exact plan that was already presented. I implore you to exercise more oversight of these groups, demand more concrete deliverables, and hold them accountable for these utter reckless failures. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate those detailed comments, and that is really useful information. So thank you for your time. And I see people are +1ing that, and I saw some thumbs up. So thank you. That's helpful as well. Do we have another hand up? It looks like Jamie Gilmore would like to speak. If you can unmute him.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. I take question with Mr. Gibbons' replies how this meeting is. I know you can express frustration with where you think things should be, but this meeting is not supposed to be giving us any new additional information. It's exactly to listen to what people are. So I disagree with your end remarks. That's all. I think all your other remarks are good and worth noting, but you can't just say this is an utter failure. I don't think any other failure has been expressed here, nor was it intended to update anybody as to what new work has been done. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another hand up? Anyone else wishing to speak?
Okay, I see Larry Stone, and then we'll do Stephen Young. So Larry, I will unmute you now.
Good evening. I have some concerns that I'd like to share with the group regarding the town messaging that the existing site can't be used. Now they're saying that, but I've spoken with an international water treatment engineering firm. I've gone over Scituate's plans with them, and I've gotten feedback from their engineers and project planners. And the feedback that they told me was that, and by the way, this firm is much larger than Tighe & Bond. They do international projects. The feedback that they gave me was that a water treatment plant can be put anywhere, and it's just a matter of cost. And so the town is putting this forward saying that they can't build on the existing plant. And I'd like to understand why.
Thank you, Larry. I think that's a good comment, and I think that's something that we should be really careful to address in our future meetings and discussion.
I think I'd like to bring it up. We shouldn't be cutting off conversation by having the town mislead the public by saying something can't be done without having a discussion first. It comes off really arrogant, and it comes off as misleading. And I hope we're not trying to be that way.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm now going to unmute Stephen Young.
Hi, how you doing? Stephen Young, 5 Old Forge Road. I guess my first concern is, Mr. Gilmore, if you're going to say something, we're not talking to you, and you shouldn't comment on anybody else's. This is our chance to speak. So don't comment and say it's a failure. I mean, these are our concerns. So yeah, I understand. And that's what we get, right? So there's a couple of concerns that we have is what are the need for lagoons? I'd like to better understand, Mr. Rafferty, what are the need for lagoons? And I guess if you're writing these down, I'll go through them real quickly. Do we have lagoons? Have we ever used lagoons in Scituate before? I'm told that we have. If so, why did we stop using lagoons? Let me see. I have kind of a list, so I'm kind of going through this, if you bear with me. What is the current backflush rate that we, I know a little bit about lagoons, but I'd love you to educate me more about it. But, it's used for backflush. What is the daily rate that we use for backflushing, the current water treatment plant? Is that 20,000? And I think you even set up to 100,000 gallons per day. And I'm just wondering if you can kind of clarify that, because that was a major concern. And if you can also tell us the new plant, what is the backflush going to be? Is that going to be a daily thing? And how many gallons would that be on a daily, every other day, whatever that frequency is? That's what we'd like to kind of know. Some of these questions are not just mine; they're from neighbors. So we kind of try to keep this to a minimum. Let's see. We've got some other questions. How much water are we currently taking out of the reservoir today? Meaning in the last 2 years, I'd like to know or better understand how much water we actually took out of Old Oaken Bucket reservoir to use for our water, right? To put it through the system and put it into the water supply. that would be wonderful to know. Yeah, and that's what I have right now. If I'm going through a kind of a list of notes, if I come across other ones, I'll raise my hand. But
That's great, Stephen. Thank you. I think those are great questions to pose to the team, and I think we can answer those. And I think, as you mentioned, these are questions that if other people have them as well, we do want to be sure that we're putting them in a publicly accessible area where everybody can read them. So thank you for that list of questions. And please do feel free to share any additional ones that you have.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I think that, we're here to hear, we want to hear new information. This is not new information. This is, quite frankly, I don't really know what it is, but I'm it's not new information for the abutters. I mean, this thing was for the abutters, and there's no information that's usable here that we would be able to ask, right? It's a chicken and the egg. If you don't know what's being proposed or the plan, then how do you ask the question? I didn't know what.
Sure, I can appreciate that. And thank you for expressing it. And so, that's good information for us to have. And as we go forward, again, as we mentioned, we'll continue to provide this input out into the public. Getting your questions today is very helpful to us. I mean, I can speak for myself as a member of the team. Hearing your questions directly is very helpful, and I do look forward to providing those answers. Looks like we have a new hand.
Yep, Jim Seaton. So I'm going to unmute you now, Jim.
Hi, this is Jim Seaton. I live at 26 Doctors Hill Drive. I have a particular concern about traffic. Route 3A, which is going to be the access to this plant, is major road through town. The two abutting neighborhoods, Old Forge and Doctors Hill, are basically at the crest of a hill, and their access roads are on opposite sides of the highway. At least the concept that we saw showed access into the proposed Stearns Meadows site sort of on the downslope of the hill on the Old Forge side. So I'm trying to figure out, particularly with truck traffic and trucks turning into that, you have traffic come barreling up this state highway, which we don't directly control. And just over the crest of the hill, drivers could be going 50 miles an hour and end up right in the back of a truck that's going at 5, trying to get into this site. And so it would seem to me that some sort of traffic light or something would be necessary to control that, and that the lights and possibly, warning lights on either side should bracket the Doctors Hill and Old Forge access roads so that people can get in and out. But one of my concerns is that it's a state highway, and the state has to approve any kind of traffic control. And it takes years, as we've seen on other problematic intersections that have been mentioned earlier tonight. So I'm concerned that we may get a site proposed. You may get, the roadways into the site proposed and maybe voted on at town meeting, and then it goes to a state approval process, which could take years. And I'm trying to understand how we can get these things in the proper order so that we know what we're voting on and we know what we're going to get in terms of traffic flow. That's my comment.
Thank you, Jim. I think that's a great comment and something that we can address for you. So thanks for that. I have a message from Maria, I think. Is it Maria? Yeah, Maria McCallion. She can't raise her hand. So Rebecca, if you could please
Yep,
find her and give
I
her an
will put her
opportunity to speak.
next.
Okay. And then we can come back, Stephen. I do want to make sure that everyone who wants to speak gets a chance to speak first. So I'm happy to come back to you, Stephen. I just want to make sure we get everybody who hasn't had a chance yet.
Thank you. It's Maria. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my computer today, but thank you. I appreciate that, Katie. First off, I'd like to echo what Michael Gibson said at the beginning. I too have attended the various discussions on this. If I couldn't, I watched town meeting. The Board of Selectmen meetings. I would first like to say to Mr. Vignani, thank you for at least hearing what we're trying to say. The other night at the board meeting, you did say, what are you presenting to them? Nothing new. So I do appreciate your effort on that for us, is that even tonight, we're seeing nothing. We're not seeing the plans again. So it's very difficult for us. We already said when it was presented to us the first time, please explain to us. Tell us what we're seeing. And everything was, it's a concept, it's a concept. Okay, we go to town meeting, the same thing. But tonight, we don't even have what you showed at town meeting. So I'm disappointed that we don't have that. And I do know that there are other people on the Board of Selectmen that also the same sentiment was, do we even have this meeting tonight? It was, expressed that it was listening. So you're listening. Quite honestly, everything you're hearing tonight was presented to us the last time we had something like this, and a town meeting, just a few little extra things. But I do appreciate the effort. I absolutely do, that you're listening, trying to listen to us. Traffic, that's my big thing. It is a huge thing. Very concerned about it. Our town is dealing with, do we add traffic lights? These are state roads. We have very dangerous intersections. This is going to create another dangerous situation. Whether you live in this neighborhood or you don't, you should be concerned about that kind of traffic at 50 miles an hour on 3A. Lights, I am concerned about the lights. This is a safety issue. From everything I read, that water treatment facilities, plants have to be lit most of the hours. So I am concerned about that and what that's going to do to our neighborhood. I'm concerned about noise. So we'd like that addressed: noise, lights, traffic. And the last thing that I just want to say is, at the last meeting, I heard the Board of Selectmen member who chaired the last one of these listening sessions refer to it, in the first thing out of her mouth was, this was extreme, it was extremely unpleasant. I should not hear that from a member of our board. This is extremely unpleasant to us, that again, we're not getting the information. And if I hear one more person say, this is about not in my backyard, every Scituate resident should be asking the same questions that we are. It just so happens that we're the abutters. We're the ones that just maybe have a tipping point of concerns. So I just thank you for listening. Please go back and listen to what was said at town meeting. Listen the last time that we talked and we had more people. Please, next time we have one of these, have the answers to our questions. Because I know the last thing I said is on the call that we did the first time. If you don't have the answers tonight, I understand, but please get back to me. My name was on it. My address was on it. I have heard no response from anyone. So please, it would be great if somebody could just put these points that have been raised and make it known. And that should be for the whole town, every resident. And then the survey. I think it's great to put out a survey. 3 of the questions had nothing to do. The demographics that, surveys have. Who cares if I'm male, female, how my gender identify, my age, I can't even remember what the other one was. I also think the survey questions could have been more robust. I think that they were limited. And now that you hear everything, would you now choose that site? So I just wasn't all for that survey. And finally, it's disrespectful to the neighbors on Stearns Road. Please spell it right. It's Stearns. And if it's going to be Stearns Meadows, it should be spelt right in the slides. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I apologize if my slides were incorrect. Sincerely, if that was an error on my part, I do apologize. And I also do want to say that, you know, if in any way our communication to you misconstrued this meeting into something else besides a listening session, that I'll take responsibility for that. You know, this meeting really was intended to be an opportunity for residents to voice their concerns. And if we mischaracterize that in any way to anyone, I am truly sorry. It was not an intention of wasting your time. It really was envisioned to be an opportunity to hear from you. So
No, Katie, I don't think so. You're doing exactly what the board was very straightforward with, is that it would be a listening session. I know that there was concerns about even having this call tonight, but I do think we could have at least had the plans available so that we could have looked at them again, so that we could help know what questions to further give you. So not having them tonight, I think, was a disadvantage.
thank you. I know we have some hands, but I also got a message quite a bit ago from Paul, who said his hand function is not working. Paul Barkowitz, I think. Or
I will unmute him now.
I'm sorry, Paul, for butchering your name. I can't see the whole thing in my chat.
That's no problem, Katie. Thank you. It's Paul Barkowitz at 18 Damon Lane in Scituate. I think it's good to have listening sessions and to get information, and I hope you are listening to the concerns expressed. And I've been fortunate enough to have the time to follow this whole process, not only the select board meetings, but we've got an outstanding Water Resources Commission of folks that are really dedicated to dealing with, helping us have reliable, safe, high quality, sustainable water supplies. And I've also been impressed by how much effort and attention the select boards put into this, and the consulting team as well. So I'm very strongly supportive of this project. We need to build what we need to build. This has to last a long time. It has to be right. As far as the location, you've heard a lot of questions at town meeting and tonight and the other meetings, and I've got a lot of confidence that the board and the consulting team will have listened to those, and we'll address them when the next version of the plan comes out. I mean, I think there are. I'd like to know more about how the town ingress and egress will be to this site, to operate the plant and all of that. I think I've seen the plans on buffers, and those seem reasonable to me. But I think I'm confident that the consulting team will look at that some more and make sure they do what's best for everybody. But again, I'm really very strongly supportive of this plan, and very confident that the select board will lead us to a good solution. Just one other comment I haven't seen brought up by anybody is the current water treatment plant site is a pretty extraordinary piece of property. There's a Little League field there that gets a lot of use, and I would hope that the select board works with the Little League or other recreation interests and develops a plan for using that site. I'd love to see more Little League fields and just have a really beautiful, complete Little League complex at just a fantastic location that would really be another gateway to our community to introduce people to Scituate. And so again, thank you for this meeting tonight, and the survey and everything you do to make sure voices are heard, and and again, I'm very confident that you'll address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think next we have Abby Aaronstam. Sorry if I mispronounced the last name, but I'll ask you to unmute now.
Hi, it's Abby Aaronstam. I am at 142 Old Forge Road. I hope you understand that our frustration is where it is because we've done our homework as neighbors, as abutters, and we've done our research. But this is the third or fourth time where we've had to express our concerns, and I think it's time now for all of the consultants to do their homework, go back and listen to those meetings. Everything that has been said here tonight has been stated previously, and that is, I think I can agree with Maria, and that is where our frustration lies. So I have a couple questions for you. You mentioned the July 13th meeting, but as someone who works with a lot of people, I think it would behoove the consultants to give the neighborhood time to see the plans ahead of time, allow us to look them over, allow us to get a grasp on them, and then have a meeting to come together to see where we can move forward with. And I guess my question is, if you do plan to steamroll the new plant onto the Stearns Meadow site, and that's voted down, what are your steps after that? That would be a question. And the field being mentioned previously in the previous comment next to the existing site is on a lot that's 5 acres of land. And it's been previously stated that 8 acres is what you need. So I'm wondering why we can't combine the 5 acres that the field is on with the acreage that the existing plant is on. And finally, with this new plant, can you promise there will be no brown water? This is clearly the biggest problem we have here in Scituate. But does this new plant address any issues with the water pipelines that run through town?
Great, thank you, Abby. Those are great questions.
All right, looks like no new hands are up, so we'll let Stephen Young speak again. So Stephen, I will allow you to unmute.
Yeah, hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate the second chance. These are questions that are coming in from text messages. So I guess somebody has a question around the actual intent of the intent to purchase the land originally at the town meeting. Most people, I guess the question is, most people went to the meeting to vote to save the land, not to put any type of development on the land. So I guess what they're saying is that you received a yes vote to buy the land, but really you only mentioned during the meeting that that you were going to look at potentially putting a water treatment plant on it. That's not why people voted to buy the land, right? So that's a major concern that I think that the select board has to address with the whole town. That's just not an abutters issue. That's a whole town issue. That's one thing. And then I'm concerned, I guess there's another one here, concerned that we're going to go yet another month without any type of update, and then, here comes the, the vote in September, and there's no time to review it and no time to do anything. Yeah, so if we can have those two things addressed, is what are your concerns as far as the actual purchase of it and the legality there? And then, we're going to go another month without any new information, because this is really not new. Nothing here is new. And I think that we discussed that at the town meeting with the select board. I was there. I voiced my concern and everybody else's concern with the residents of Stearns, Old Forge Road, in Agawam, and therefore, so that's it.
Thanks, Stephen, and thanks for giving me a good reason to once again plug. Please fill out our form and sign up for our emails so that we can send you information between now and the meeting as things do become available.
Great. Next we have iPhone, starts with 781, and please say your name when you unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Sharon Galoni, 87 Old Forge Road. I was reading through a study that Scituate did with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council in March 2018, entitled Building a Resilient Scituate, Climate Vulnerability Assessment and Action Plan. And at the end of this, it looks like a 100-page report. They had climate action items relating to drinking water. And the number one action item on their list was explore new drinking water sources both inside and outside of the town. And I am wondering if someone can provide the analysis for this action item, specifically what sources both inside and outside of town did Scituate look at before deciding on building their own water treatment plant in a lagoon system. So we know there are many alternatives out there, partnering with other towns on a water solution, tapping into the MWRA water, going to a system that's very commonly used now on the West Coast, septic to sewer, septic to drinking water. I'm wondering if you could provide the analysis that the town has done to get to the point where it said we need to build a lagoon system water treatment plant. That is the best solution, and that will help us with our goal to build a resilient Scituate.
Thank you. Great. Okay.
Great. Next we have Nicole De Simone. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, but I'll ask you to unmute now.
Hi, hi, yes. I believe someone brought this up at a previous meeting, but just to reiterate it, I was wondering if you looked into possibly leaving the lagoons or building new lagoons at the current treatment plant and moving the admin buildings and garage to a completely different location, and that therefore not using the Sturgeon's Meadow site. And then another point is I am one of the abutters, and I was wondering what kind of implications or restrictions I will have by backing up to a water treatment plant. Like, can I not spray for ticks or mosquitoes, or is there anything else that is going to happen because I abut the lagoons? Thank you.
Great questions. Thank you.
Great. Next we have Gordon Price.
Hi, good evening. In the very recent past, in relation to a building of a senior center, very much the same issues with traffic and safety issues were brought up. And I just want to say some of the traffic concerns were a bit overstated, and that building was constructed and has been occupied for over a year now with little to no traffic issues or accidents that have occurred. When the construction occurred, when necessary, there was always a police detail out on First Parish Road to make sure that traffic flowed freely and safely. And I would anticipate that the same would be done during the construction period of the treatment plant, should that be built on 3A. The suggestion I would make would be for the engineers and for the people involved to come up with a daily inflow and outflow of traffic into that site after the construction is completed. I don't think it's fair to base all the concerns on what's going to happen during the construction period, because I believe that with the addition of safety officer out on the street on a detail daily for that year that it would be built would reduce, if not eliminate, any likelihood of any accidents happening. But I think the daily traffic into and out of the building is a number that you should be able to come up with, and that gives us a pretty good idea of what the concerns might help with the concerns that the people in the abutting areas both across the street and on Stearns Road area might have. So just a suggestion along those lines. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that suggestion. I will just make one more comment before we call on the next speaker. If anyone wants to send me a direct message that isn't for the whole group, you're welcome to do that. I've had a couple people send me a few messages just to me, and I just wanted to say that if anyone's more comfortable sending a message directly to me than to put it out in the whole group, you're welcome to do that as well. And I am taking note of those.
Great. It looks like the only hand we have raised right now again is Stephen Young, so we'll ask you to unmute again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just another question coming in. I guess this is going out to Steve Rafferty. Steve, when we backflush, right, you said that all that backflush water would go directly to the water processing plant or wastewater, right, to be treated. Does that go to be treated as wastewater, or is that considered storm water? That's the question that came in.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you sharing these questions that you're getting from others with us as well. Jamie, I think you rose your hand again. Yeah. Rebecca, if you could, Jamie Gilmore, please.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to clear something up. My comments at the beginning of this meeting were only reflective on the negative comments because there was a misunderstanding of what this meeting was about. I appreciate and I've listened to everybody's questions, and I think they're all extraordinarily valid. But any negative representation in a meeting like this is not productive. And that's all I was referring to, Mr. Young, was not the quality of the questions, the quality of the advancement of the future, but maybe some of us misunderstood. I've looked at my agenda several times to make sure I only see the word listening. And I know maybe the closer you are to the project as a neighborhood, you want answers faster. And I appreciate that anxiety too. So if I misled anybody or said anything that offended anybody, I apologize for that, because I want to hear the same things everybody's been asking. And I don't want you to think otherwise from this vantage point. Okay, so that's all I wanted. Just want to clear the air there. All right, all good things, wonderful questions, and some good back and forth. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right,
thanks. Okay.
All right. Next we have Mike De Simone.
Oh yeah, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate one concern that I brought up the meeting in April, and that was just on privacy. I think right now the buffer zones are way too short. The ones that I saw were just 30 feet, which is, just one Tom Brady first down. So I was hoping to, get more arborvitaes in there and try and expand that land as much as we could.
Thank you. Appreciate that question. Yeah, because privacy did come up on the chat and nobody had brought it up. So thank you, Mike. Okay, it looks like Maria would like to speak again if nobody else has their hand up.
All right. Give me one sec. All right, Maria, I just asked you to unmute.
Thank you. This is too funny. I can't raise my hand here. To Stephen, I just wanted to ask Mr. Rafferty, you had mentioned, I think at the board meeting the other day, is it the Longmeadow Falmouth water treatment place that you were talking about we could take a look at to get an idea of the lagoons? I know you're not supposed to answer questions, but
I think, Rebecca, I think you would have to, either Stephen has to put that in the chat or you'll have to give him permission on the.
Yep, give me one sec, Stephen, okay. I'll give you some permission to respond to that question. All
right. We can't hear you, Stephen.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So I can offer you 2 locations to check One of them is a treatment plant in Durham, New Hampshire that was designed by Tighe and Bond over the last several years, which is a zero discharge plant with lagoons. The other plant that is relatively nearby is located in Falmouth, Massachusetts, where it's not as necessarily a zero discharge in the sense of the water flowing back to the treatment process, but there are lagoons on site for the backwash, and then the water is absorbed into the ground and flows back to the reservoir, which is adjacent to the treatment plant site. So both of those are locations that you could contact and/or make a field trip to go look at.
Thank you. I did go on the Falmouth website. So I did get an idea, because I know that came up about the lagoons, not quite, I was really quite sure exactly what they even look like based on the plans or what the elevation is. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And there was one other just comment that I wanted to make, is that I think that if we could, before this goes to July 13th, the next one, if there was some other session where maybe we reverse this and we've asked you all the questions, okay? And then, so now we'll listen to what you're showing us with these plans so that we can understand. There's one more thing, show us, and I know it's a oh, I forget the word that was used, but it was just a concept. But even on the concept, we don't need to necessarily talk about the size of the building. I mean, I know there's so much that goes into this, but I just think if we were to understand a little bit better about what the lagoon, we understand what the lagoons do, but just knowing what is that going to look like. And I know we thought it was going to be 18 acres. Now we could be talking as low as 8 acres. It's hard to look at a print and not understand exactly what it is. And with all due respect, I deal with a lot of consulting companies, I'm an infrastructure person, but normally you can get some kind of model, some kind of 3D image, something at this point that would give us an idea. I would think between the consultants and Mr. Rafferty, that you guys could come up with something, some kind of model, some kind of visual, something that you can walk us through. And I think other people would be interested in it as well. I know it's not perfect to scale. We understand that. That's yet to be determined. And I do feel that the other night, understanding when they were talking about the different chemicals, if anybody on this call did not see the Board of Selectmen meeting this week, there were some interesting things about that, about what type of chemical they use could determine the size that the lagoons might be. So I just think it behooves all of us too, that are so, so close to this, literally, to go back and look at that too, because there was some interesting things that came out. I know Steve Young attended as well. So that's my only other comment. Next time, maybe you come back to us with just that a model, something, scope, scalable, something that we can look at. I think that would help. Beyond it's a 30-foot buffer, it's a 15-foot buffer, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, I'm going to give Abby the next chance to speak since she's only spoke once before. So Abby, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, I just want to go back to one of the questions that I had asked previously about the pipelines here in Scituate. I'm reading or was reading an article about the Falmouth water treatment plant, that there are several articles that cite that the new water treatment plant put pressure on the Falmouth water mains and caused pipes to burst. So can you ensure that when we put in a new, and it quotes Steve Rafferty all over the place. So I'm just hoping that this new water treatment plant does not do the same thing to our water mains.
Thanks, Abby.
Okay, now I will unmute Stephen Young.
Yeah, so can you?
Oh, he's muted again.
Hi, how are you? Yeah.
There we go. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, so I guess that was one of my questions is, Steve, are you the one that was working on the Falmouth and the New Hampshire? I think it was New Hampshire that you said, or something like that. There was two. There was the Falmouth and then another plant. Did you represent those plants? I mean, if those are the two that you're citing, then I mean, I just find it kind of weird that you're citing just the two that you might have worked on. That's one thing. What other plants that we know use these lagoons? And then also there was something that was mentioned in a meeting that talked about $62 million was quoted. 62 million, you know, some oddball number and 25 cents was mentioned to put one on the ball field. And where's that study? Where's that all that information? And how did they arrive at that $62 million to put one on the ball field? I believe that there was something that was presented back in 2019 that cited that the ball field could be used, but we haven't seen anything about that. And I'm just wondering, where is all that information, and how did they arrive at $62 million for a ball field, and what did that entail?
Okay, great. Thanks, Stephen. And I do think I'm hearing from several of you that some examples, maybe examples even out of the area and other, like further away, might be of interest to see. So, you know, that's something certainly we can pull together to put online that makes it accessible. Do we have other comments? Okay. Oh, Stephen again.
Yeah, one more quick question. I guess the other question is Mr. Rafferty, do you have any residents in town? Are you related to anybody in town? That's just a basic question.
Okay. Well, okay. Does anybody have any additional questions on the project that you would like us to address in additional information? Oh, Stacy asked where we're going to find this information online. So I will once again plug our form that we put in the chat. Maybe we can put that in the chat again, Renee. But also it will be on the town website, specifically on the water resources page. But we do want to proactively distribute information. So if you want to fill out that form so you can make sure we know how to reach you, that would be helpful. Okay. Would anybody else like to make a comment before we close for the day?
I see the iPhone number again, so I will unmute you.
Hi, it's Sharon Gloney again at 87 Old Forge. I just want to reiterate, before I think we can expect anyone in town to vote on a site, and I'm beating a dead horse here, we need to see the plan. We need to see how this will look on the property, how much space it'll take up. We also, in a prior call, raised a number of concerns about wildlife, wind patterns. We have a very bad wind tunnel in this neighborhood, and I just had an arborist at my house who didn't even want me to take down one tree because it could cause further wind problems, which sounds funny, but the forest around us is our buffer. It's like a seawall for us. Some of this work can be done prior to even putting a plant diagram together. I'd like to know where the town is at in terms of exploring the land for endangered species, doing a wind study, doing a groundwater study, because if you take all these trees out, these trees absorb a lot of water. Where's that water going to go? Is it going to soak into Mike and everyone else's backyard, which are already pretty flooded, or basements? That work can and should be done before I would say we should be expected to vote on the site.
Yes, I can assure you that we are intending to release a great deal of information prior to the vote. And so thank you for asking those specific questions so that we can address them.
Looks like we have a hand from Mike De Simone, so I will unmute you now, Mike.
Just real quick, someone did ask about the next steps. As soon as we wrap up public comment, I will address next steps. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I just want to foot stomp points made by everybody already in regards to shrinking the scope of the project. So if you remove the admin building and the garage building, I feel like the focus of all of this listening session and the feedback so far has been on the Stearns Meadow site or the current admin site. But if we shrink it to remove 66% of the buildings, what other options does that open up and expanding the scope from there? So really seeing the different land options once you shrink that scope down would be super helpful leading up to the town meeting.
Thank you.
All right, looks like we have Larry Stone. Larry, I'll unmute you now.
Hello. I have to just hammer that point home and add to the narrative there that, you know, in the first discussion we had as a butters, a lot of questions were asked. One of them was, what are the other site plans? Have you considered moving buildings around or not having the admin buildings? And the answer to us was that there had been no consideration of any other site deconstruction and movement at all. And now that we're here, we still haven't had an update on that. Not that I'm expecting one at this meeting, but it is a number of months later. Additionally, it seems like the Stearns Meadow was chosen by the town. And I could point to a Mass DEP website where a loan application was submitted by the town. And the line item there says Stearns Meadow. That's what the town is using to ask for money from the state. And that was in February. So there's a narrative here where it seems like there's not much work being done to discover or learn or at least share different viewpoints and scenarios. And I think there's a lot of frustration around that. And it feels really, really, it feels like someone's either not doing the work or there's something else going on. So I just want to share that with the group because I feel like, you know, we're not talking about that. And additionally, when we had our initial abutters meeting, there was a lot of concern around environmental. We asked, were there any reports done on that besides water delineation? And the answer was no, there weren't any. So they'd chosen the plan in February, decided to have the meeting a few months later, and they showed up without any environmental research at all at that point in time. It doesn't sound, something doesn't compute here. So I just wanted to share that. I also just wanted to close with, I do appreciate you as a moderator today. I think the original abutters meeting was, you know, we would share a concern, and then I don't know who it was that was moderating that meeting, but their answer to us would be, oh, here's what my experience in my life has been. So when we shared the cutting down trees concern, the answer was, oh, everybody complains when I cut down a tree. It wasn't listening to us. It was just answering us in a negative light. So I do appreciate that. So I just wanted to say that as well. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. And thanks for sharing those concerns that we can address.
All right, now we have Susan Young. So Susan, I'll unmute you on Stephen's computer.
Hi there. Thanks very much. I just have a quick question. I do appreciate the format of this. You've been terrific about taking down many questions. I just would like to know what the follow-up will be and how it will be delivered. Is it each question as asked, followed by a direct answer, and will those be posted somewhere, emailed to us directly, or otherwise communicated? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that great segue. I will go ahead and move into our next steps slide here. And then if anybody wants to, send me additional information in the future, I'm happy to hear it. But as far as how we're going to answer the questions, it's not going to be necessarily a one-to-one. I think some of the questions and concerns that were raised today probably merit graphics. Some of them probably merit reports that you'd like to see. Some of them probably merit an explanation, an answer to your question. So I wouldn't say that we're just going to take every single question and write an answer to it and ship that back to you. I think that some of these things need to be researched further and need to be explored further, and we need to figure out a way to share that information with you that's going to be useful to you. I've been working with engineering firms for a long time, and I can't tell you how many times somebody has sent me a 500-page document and said the answer's in here. So we don't want to do that. We want to be sure that we're giving you information that you can understand, that's useful, that's helpful, that's concise, so you don't have to burn your time dealing with it. And like I said, I do think some things need to be shown graphically, specifically maybe some maps and some rendering. So again, I know I'm beating a dead horse saying this again, please sign up for our emails, both ours and the town emails, or one or the other, because that is going to be our main method for providing you information. I also want to say that it's not going to be one chunk of information coming right back at you immediately. Some of these questions are going to be easy for us to answer and provide you a response, and some of them are going to take some time. Some of the things that were proposed today were ideas and solutions, and we do want to have some time to explore those as well. So you'll be getting information incrementally. I'm not going to commit to what we will or won't have yet in July, but our intention is to address as many of these questions as we can during that meeting as well. But we will send out or post things between now and that time. So, all of that to say, just please be sure we know how to reach you, because we do want to continue to send out information as it's available and as, as information is presented and prepared that we can share. So with that, that's really all that I had for our closing remarks here. I do want to tell you that I really, really do appreciate your time today. I know it's the evening and lots of people have family dinners and fun things to do with your kids, taking them to practice and all that stuff. So I appreciate you giving us some of your time today. I will say, I'll just speak for myself to say that this was very helpful for me. Hearing from you directly and understanding your concerns and your questions is useful. So thank you again for doing that. We appreciate you being here and we appreciate you sharing. Happy to, be in touch with you in the future. If you'd like to reach us, please let us know. And again, I think we just put that link back in the chat. So that is all I have for you today. With that, I'll just say have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing all of you lots more times as we continue to share this information and get information to you. We are looking forward to the process of preparing and sharing additional information. So you'll be seeing me again, and I hope to be seeing you. So thank you so much. Have a great evening.
And just one last thing, I got a message asking how and when we'll confirm the next date for chat. And we will be sending that out to the email list. So if you can please sign up for that link. Renee's put it in the chat a few times. So if you can put your email in there, we will make sure that you get information on the next opportunities to talk.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening.